So games 3 and 4 of the NBA Finals in Indiana are in the book. Once again, the Pacers and Thunder split the 2 games, and now we've got a best of 3 for the NBA championship. Before we start talking about games 3 and 4, if you have already, make sure to leave this video a like, give us a subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on one of our videos. So right away at the start of game 3, the Thunder come out and they get the start that they very much needed. They force some early turnovers and misses from the Pacers, take an early 15-6 lead. Perfect start for the Thunder because the one thing you want to do going on the road in a situation like this, take the crowd out of the game. That Pacer crowd was ready to explode from the opening tip-off, and the Thunder immediately killed all the momentum they had. The Pacers early, they tried to establish Siakam a couple times, but he was really the only guy who was getting buckets early. And also, they kind of missed a golden opportunity to get Shai in foul trouble. Shai picked up that foul 8 seconds into the game, and Siakam tried to go at him a few times, but they just couldn't get that second foul on him.
Yeah, and for the Thunder, it was Chet again early on. 13 first quarter points, so really picking up off of that good game 2. But the Pacers did settle down. Tyrese Haliburton, we'll talk about him. What a bounce back game for him. He just always seems to bounce back somehow. He was kind of a ghost early on, you know, the first half of the first quarter, like 6 minutes in, didn't do much, but he had a nice floater. Then he had the steal, which I was surprised, a couple steals in this game, huge steals too. This led to an assist to Obi Toppin. Thunder called timeout from there. Then each team traded 3-pointers. You had Miles Turner, Haliburton knocking down threes for the Pacers, and then Lou Dort continued his hot shooting for the Thunder. One thing to note though, a lot more whistles this game. I felt like this game wasn't great how it was officiated. 11 first quarter fouls, which just felt weird given how physical these playoffs have been.
Well, you know when you get a foul 8 seconds into the game, which I get it, Shai kind of, elbowed and pushed Nembhard a little bit, but man, to call a foul like that less than 10 seconds after the ball's been tipped off, I was just like, is that really what we're gonna do here, right? First NBA Finals game in Indiana, by the way, a franchise with a history of the most rough and tumble teams out there, especially in the early 2000s, and we got 11 fouls in the first quarter. I was like, interesting. Thunder, though, led the Pacers 32-24 after the first quarter, but the Pacers had a quick start to the second. Siakam got a bucket, and then a quick steal by TJ McConnell led to a Benedict Mathurin layup that cut the lead down to 4. A couple minutes later, Aaron Nesmith gets a layup off a great pass by McConnell, who then gets another steal. Doesn't end up leading to anything, but just appreciate the hustle, right? Crowd's going crazy, everyone's loving it. Benedict Mathurin then hits a 3 after a Cason Wallace layup, and the Thunder called timeout with their lead down to just 1. And on the next possession, after 2 free throws from McConnell, the Pacers would take their first lead of the game. And really, the story of the second quarter especially was this Pacers bench. In the first half, Andrew Nembhard, Aaron Nesmith, and Pascal Siakam, all 3 of them picked up 3 fouls in the first half. So the Pacers had to rely on guys like Mathurin, like McConnell to come in and give you energy and give you points. And they killed it. I mean, there was one point midway through the second quarter, the Pacers bench was outscoring the Thunder bench 19-0.
It's just ridiculous. I can't think of another finals game where a bench was this impactful. We'll talk about it more later on.
I bet there's a Spurs game in 13 or 14 maybe.
True. Danny Green, Gary Neal were crazy. So fair point, but it's been a while. And at that point, the Thunder and just kind of all game just out of sorts offensively. The Pacers getting their fingertips on the ball a lot. I mean, the Pacers were playing the defense we saw from OKC in games 2 and game 1.
Absolutely. It seemed like every pass, every shot, someone got a fingertip on it.
Yeah, and the game plan on Shai was just great. I don't know if that was Rick Carlisle or an assistant, but how they kept sending those doubles, they'd wait for him to get the screen, wait for him to get to that, high mid-range spot just inside the 3-point line, and then they'd send the doubles. Just great defense from the Pacers. Isaiah Joe did have some success shooting the ball. He hit back-to-back threes to tie the game at 42. But Mathurin, again, just the spark off the bench for the Pacers. Maybe the game of his life. Got an and 1 in transition, pushed the Pacers lead to 5. Pacers lead got up to 7 after a Hallie floater. But the Thunder did respond. 9-2 run, cut the lead down to 51.
Yeah, Shai was finally starting to cook a little bit offensively. He was starting to get more downhill, straight up attacking the rim, got back-to-back layups, and then had a really nice assist where he dropped it off to Hartenstein for a dunk. Still though, TJ McConnell caps the first half with a mid-range shot, and the Pacers are up by 4 at halftime. At this point, I was feeling pretty good for the Pacers. Like, I was worried initially because the Thunder jump out to that early 9-point lead. Crowd's out of it. You lost all the momentum, but credit that bench. They came in, they gave you energy, they gave you points, and you got a 4-point lead. That being said, also from the Thunder's perspective, I mean, your starters played pretty well. Shai, Chet, Jalen Williams, and Lou Dort combined for 47 of your 60 points. So, your big four is playing really well. So if you can just get one or two bench guys to come along in the second half, you're probably going to be in good shape.
And to start the second half, it was a great start by the Thunder. You had back-to-back buckets from J-Dub, then you had a 14-footer from Shai, gave the Thunder back the lead. We're just 90 seconds into the half. Both teams then trade buckets for the next few minutes, including Haliburton. He had another steal, got a breakaway dunk, but Shai does respond on the next possession with that step-back three. And Lou Dort, again, great shooting all series, great shooting this game. Hits his 4-3 of the game to tie it at 76, only for Haliburton, who again just kept responding. An amazing game from him. Hits a three of his own a few possessions later.
Yeah, both teams traded buckets for most of the rest of the quarter. Pacers, again, continue to send doubles at Shai, make him give the ball up, and they were also rotating defenders, Nembhard, Ben Shepherd, and Nesmith on him to keep their guys fresh. Shai did still get some buckets though, but while the Pacers were keying in on him, it was really Jalen Williams who kind of took on the role as like the primary ball handler and facilitator. Had a great dime to Chet for an and-one dunk, and then hit that three at the end of the third quarter to extend the Thunder lead to 5 heading into the fourth. Mathurin though, I mean, can't say enough about him. Starts the fourth off with that and-one off the sweet spin move against Jalen Williams, gets another bucket on the very next possession. I mean, at this point, he had 22 points in only 18 minutes of playing time.
I can't believe, game of his life.
Absolutely.
I don't know, like, he might have had a 40-point game or something at Arizona. I don't care. This was insane. Thunder were up 4 though, but off a scramble, Nembhard gets a mid-range jumper, and then for the third time of the game, TJ McConnell off an inbounds gets a steal.
Unbelievable.
And just immediately gets a layup, just puts his hands up and grabs the ball, and you had a perfect analogy for this.
No, this is like when you're playing like Madden or NCAA, and you throw the ball over the middle, and the middle linebacker just like jumps up, like full extends his arms, and somehow picks it off.
You just don't see it.
You don't see it at all. And it's like Caruso straight up just doesn't see TJ McConnell right in front of him, throws it straight at him. McConnell's just like, thank you very much.
And at that point for Caruso, I'm like, dude. Like, this has happened for the third time now, like, and it's something, the first time it happens, fine. Second time, okay, let's pay attention. Third time, dude.
It's like, what the fuck?
What are you doing? But TJ McConnell, just like Mathurin, maybe the game of his life, at least given the stakes.
Yeah, and side note, Thunder really struggled with turnovers in this game. They finished with 19 total, and the Pacers, on the other hand, I mean, they turned it over a fair amount too, but they were much better at taking care of the ball. Mathurin knocks down another three to give the Pacers a 2-point lead, only for Jalen Williams to respond with a layup to tie the game at 98. But a few possessions later, Hallie just continues his bounce back game with another 3-pointer. John Haliburton, of course, loving it. He's back in the building. He's not banned anymore. He's not up in the suite, A couple possessions later, Andrew Nembhard hits a step back mid-range shot, and then we got 2 massive plays from Obi Toppin. He gets the putback dunk off the Hallie miss, and then a huge block on the other end. This is why you always got to have like an Obi Toppin on your team, just like a super athletic guy, energy guy, because he's going to make one huge momentum play at some point in every game he's in.
Yeah, that putback dunk, huge momentum play. Shai did respond with a jumper from the top of the key, cuts the lead down to 5, but to me, this was kind of like the dagger in some ways. Aaron Nesmith gets the ball, pass from Haliburton, hits a 3, pushes the lead to 8 with less than 3 minutes left, but the Thunder did have some life. First, Aaron Nesmith got a steal. He kicked it up to Haliburton, but a great play by Caruso. He gets a steal. It looks like it was going to be a breakaway bucket, and then Nesmith kind of like pulls him down from behind. Maybe he didn't quite pull. Like, this was one where it could have gone as a flagrant. I'm glad it was called just, a regular foul.
I am too, but I was surprised it wasn't called a flagrant.
Yeah, I think there wasn't a crazy amount of windup. There was some. I remember the ref said there wasn't. Like, there was some, but
a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was good that was called, just regular foul. Also, how is this not a clear path foul?
I don't know.
Don't really know. I guess we don't know the rules good enough, but either way, it could have been a huge moment for the Thunder. They really needed this to be a flagrant. Thunder then get a stop on the next possession, but Miles Turner, oh my God, they kick it out to Chet. Shot clock winding down. Chet tries his slow-ass release. That shit gets capped. Then he drives in, gets blocked again. It leads to a turnover. Miles Turner didn't shoot the ball great this game, but huge down the stretch defensively, and the Pacers as a whole defensively in the fourth quarter, maybe the best defensive quarter they've played since the early 2000s.
And what a recovery from early in the game for Miles Turner, because Chet Chet was kind of busting his ass in the first quarter. 13 first quarter points, and to end the game like that is just incredible. But Pacers, they come up empty on the next possession, but then they force Shai into a tough step back, and Siakam gets a layup on the fast break to push the lead up to 8 with a little more than a minute to go. Thunder had some chances down the stretch, but they missed key free throws, and Siakam caps it with another layup. Pacers win 116-107. Just a massive win for the Pacers. They take a 2-1 lead in the series. Haliburton, what a bounce back game after a really disappointing game 2. Gives you 22 points, 11 assists, 9 rebounds, 1 rebound short of a finals triple-double. But the story of this game for the Pacers, the bench and that defense. I mean, Benedict Mathurin, 27 points off the bench, didn't play the first quarter and still scored 27 points off the bench. Obi Toppin, TJ McConnell. McConnell had 5 steals in this game. Just fantastic job by the bench of the Pacers. And then that defense, like we said, forced the Thunder into 19 turnovers and did a great job on Shai throughout this game. Like, yes, he had his moments, but they made everything difficult on him. Constant double teams, full court pressure, physical, but also disciplined one-on-one defense to limit his ability to get to the free throw line. There was one time he tried it. He tried that little drive and, tossed the ball up at the rim and fall down, but I think it was Ben Shepherd who was on him, keeps his arms up, stays disciplined, doesn't reach in. And you could tell by the end of the game, like, all the pressure that the Pacers were putting on him, dude was gassed at the end of the game.
I mean, that's something to pay attention to for this series. He played 42 minutes. No other player on the court played over 36. I mean, the Pacers just have that deeper bench they can go to. They can sit guys for times. With that all being said, I still think the Thunder are going to win this. I'm going down with the ship at this point. I mean, we're about to record game 4 after this, at least for you guys. So we'll see how that goes.
Captain going down with the ship, though.
Yeah. But I mean, you turned the ball over a ton. Your MVP had, honestly, not that he was awful, but still one of the worst games of the season for him since he's been so good. And you still were in this to the very end, and going into the fourth quarter, it felt like they were going to win the game. So I don't expect Benedict Mathurin to score 27 in game 4. I don't expect TJ McConnell to play like that. Should I at this point for the Pacers? Maybe. But I think both teams still have things to, feel confident about, which is crazy because the Thunder have to win game 4.
Yeah, this is like the third straight series where the Thunder have lost to game 3.
Yeah, that's true.
They lost it against the Nuggets, they lost it against the Wolves, and let's not forget, they were on their way to losing game 3 against Memphis before Ja got hurt.
Yeah, they would have.
They have a history of doing this, and they bounce back each and every time. They won game 4 on the road in Denver, won game 4 on the road in Minnesota, so it's something that they've done before. I do think in game 4, they got to focus also on the offensive end, got to move the ball more. They only had 16 assists, that's way below their average for the playoffs of 24.5. Second lowest total they've had this entire playoff run. The worst was game 1 of the finals where they only had 13. Honestly, that could be a big reason why the bench struggled so much. Like, if you're not moving the ball around, a lot of these guys can't create their own shots. They need either Shai or Jalen Williams to kick them the ball, get them wide open shots, and they really just couldn't do that in this game. I do agree, though. It's one of the weird situations in a playoff series where both teams probably could still be pretty confident in themselves. Like, if you're the Pacers, you still got home court advantage, you got your crowd behind you for game 4, you won a big game 3 that a lot of people didn't think you could win, and if you're the Thunder, you can look at it and be like, guys, we have so much that we can get better at this series, and we still were in this game to the very end. So it's going to be interesting to see how game 4 plays out. So before game 4, we got the news that Isaiah Hartenstein was starting for Oklahoma City. The Thunder go back to the lineup that really had dominated throughout the entire year. Remember, they had started Cason Wallace for the first 3 games. Pacers started the game red hot from 3. Siakam and Nesmith hit ones from opposite corner, and then Hallie buried a deep one. And disaster almost struck early for the Thunder when Chet turned his ankle on a drive, although he would end up being fine. Jalen Williams, though, like game 3, he was like the primary attacker for the Thunder early. 12 first quarter points and just a really high scoring first quarter overall. 35-34 at the end of 1.
Also, this was a badly officiated game. You had some, they're cheaters chants going on from Indiana, which... if you're an Indiana fan, I can see being mad at the officials after this game. But the Thunder, they continued their great defense. We had a couple, scuffles going on in this game. You had Obi Toppin had that hard foul on Caruso. Again, this was ruled a flagrant, but the other one wasn't. That doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Right.
But physical in this game, but I thought the officials did a bad job, to be honest. If you're a Pacers fan, I could see being pissed off after that.
Yeah, we'll probably loop back to that at the very end. But for now, I do want to give props to Lou Dort. Look, he rides the line. He's a little bit dirty at times, but his defense on Haliburton in the first half was excellent. I mean, 5 minutes to go in the first half, and the guy who had such a great bounce back game 3 had 3 points, 3 assists, and 3 turnovers. He did start to pick it up near the end of that half. He had the gorgeous up and under scoop layup to give Indiana the lead back, and then got an and one on the next possession, which led to his first free throw attempts of the NBA Finals. So just an incredible first half that ended with the Pacers up 3. And I mean, if you're the Pacers at that point, gotta feel good. You're up 3. You were able to weather a drought in the second quarter where you went like 3.5 minutes without scoring. If you're the Thunder, you're probably beating yourself up a little bit for not taking advantage of that. But at the same time, you're down 3 on the road when you shot 1 of 10 from 3 in the first half. So you can't be too upset.
Yeah, and in the second half, there were moments where it looked like, the energy was there. The Pacers were going to break away. There was that step back from Miles Turner, which was like a little Dirk impression. I mean, he did grow up in Texas, so, watching Dirk, there was another 3 from Siakam, pushed the lead to 7. OKC called timeout. Pacers later extend that lead to 10, their largest lead of the series. I mean, that moments in this third quarter, like I said, I thought OKC was in big trouble, might be finished, but we'll get into it soon. An insane fourth quarter for them to really keep themselves alive in this series.
Yeah, I mean, Jalen Williams kind of started that run at the very end of the third. I mean, he got the 2 free throws and then hit a tough step back to get the lead down to 7 going into the fourth. And then throughout the fourth quarter, the Thunder for a long time couldn't take the lead back, but they were just, slowly chipping away at the lead. Shai knocks down a 3 with 2:50 to go, cuts the Pacer lead to 1, and then hits a baseline jumper on the next possession to finally give OKC the lead. Very obviously travels, though. I don't know how this one was missed.
Yes, and a push-off.
Yeah, and a push-off, too. I agree. This is a horribly officiated game. It's not the reason the Pacers lost, by the way. The reason the Pacers lost is, spoiler alert, they didn't hit a single field goal the last 3:20 of the game, but there were 71 free throw attempts in this game. I mean, good God, guys. Put the whistles down a little bit. Let the guys play.
Pacers don't hit another field goal to end the game. OKC finishes it on a 12-1 run. Just great closeout to end this game for the Thunder. Looked like their season was almost over at moments, but Shai and just the Thunder as a whole come up big. They take back home court. The series is tied at 2 apiece. Yeah, a heartbreaker for the Pacers. Obviously, you had a great chance to go up 3-1, take control of this series. On the flip side for the Thunder, gutsy, resilient win. Like I said in the third quarter, there were moments where it looked like this was running away from them, and they find a way to win this game on the back of their MVP coming up big in the fourth. Going into game 5, I mean, you gotta feel good if you're OKC.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have that Thunder crowd behind you. They're gonna be rocking. I'm worried this could be a back-breaking loss for the Pacers. I mean, this is kind of how I thought the series was going to go. Steal one of the first 2 games in Oklahoma City, split the next 2 in Indiana, and then kind of run out of steam near the end of the series. And like you said, golden opportunity to take a 3-1 lead. And they had been so good this entire playoff run. This is what their playoff run has been defined by, is their ability to perform down the stretch of games, and they just completely froze at the end of this one. And I mean, the adjustments the Thunder made, I think a big one was resting Shai a lot throughout the first half. They tried to stagger his minutes a little bit. He definitely looked a lot fresher down the stretch in this one, and he came up big for the Thunder. So, man, the Pacers need a good performance now in game 5. If they get routed by the Thunder, I'm going to be worried for them going into game 6 back at home. I still think there's a slight chance they can win this series. They've proven they can win in Oklahoma City once, so there's no reason to think they can't do it again, but talk about a missed opportunity.
Final thing I gotta note, all the people hating on this series, doubting it, national media, I'm not hyped. This series has been great, one of the best finals in years, and I am hyped to see how this thing ends.
I was going to say something similar. Like, I know a lot of people are dogging on this series and like, oh, this doesn't feel like the finals. This game felt like the NBA finals. This game felt like the most important basketball game we have seen all year, bar none. The effort, the chippiness at times. This is what great NBA finals basketball looks like. That's the video, guys. What do you think of the NBA Finals going forward? I'd love to hear what you have to say in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving it a like, as it really does help us out. And while you're here, why not check out some other videos as well? And don't forget to subscribe to Synthetic Sports.